Governor Dan Patrick is doubling down on his calls to keep Camp Mystic closed for the summer.
The reaction comes as Texas lawmakers work to determine whether the camp will be allowed to reopen for business. Last year, 27 campers were killed in devastating floods in the early morning hours of July 4th. So far, investigative hearings have found the camp had no real evacuation plan and waited too long to act when the water started rising. Our Emma Kay joins us this morning. Emma, what will it take for lawmakers to clear the camp's reopening?
The Texas Department of State Health Services has outlined several issues involving emergency and parent notification plans that must meet full compliance before the operation can welcome campers back. In a deficiency letter sent last week, the department told Camp Mystic that the camp's current emergency plan still does not meet several state requirements. 13 were deemed insufficient, including the camp's natural disaster and fire plans, severe injury or death and flash flood warning evacuation plan, and emergency system. 7 deficiencies, such as shelter in place and a transportation emergency plan, were marked as incomplete. And 2 categories, including the camp's floodplain location and emergency plans for staff, were marked missing. The camp also did not clarify each staff member's role in an emergency, and plans for caring for campers with disabilities were found not to be fully formed.
Kids have to die before you lose a license to oversee kids. 1, 5, 10, 15, 20. We're at 27, and they should not have their license renewed, and they should never operate a camp in Texas again.
Camp Mystic's owners have offered to step away from running things if that would help the camp reopen this summer. The decision to renew the camp's license would have to come from the Texas Department of State Health Services, like we mentioned. Now, if allowed to reopen, this would mark the camp's 100th anniversary. Back to you.
All right, Emma, thank you.